Welcome back, everybody, to Dan Has Fun with me, Daniel, playing more Europa Universalis 4 as Bologna, or Bologna, or Baloney. It's going to be the, Bologna, Baloney play, I guess. Yes, last episode we set up the game pretty much, did a lot of talking, not a lot of action. This episode will be different, I promise. Willie's going to hit the play button, so we'll be starting there. And like I said, what we did last time around is we're just trying to get a couple of friends. We are in a weird situation where all of our neighbours, and we're going to get a lot of pop-ups, we're just going to ignore. We're in the situation where there are a lot of neighbours around us who are all slightly bigger than us, not massively. We have what's called a casus belli, a CB. We can humiliate our rivals. And the Pope has decided that we are going to have more tolerance of heathens and cheaper to develop our province. So that's good to know. We're not going to have to worry about that right now, but it's good to know what we have. We could join a trade node, potentially. I didn't talk about this last episode, and Genoa is not willing to quite have us join, but that's an option potentially on the table. Somebody will ally us. Unfortunately for us, it's Lüneburg, who are absolutely miles away. That is not a useful alliance for us, so we're just not going to think about it. What we do want to do, though, at the start of this episode, is work out who hates our rivals, so we can see if we can get, into an alliance with them. So who hates Mantua? Milan does, but they're too close, really. And having said that, I'm trying to befriend the Pope, but that's for a couple of other benefits. Obviously, we hate them, and Ferrara hate them as well, but that's no use to us. So that's a bit of a bust. Who hates Ferrara? Siena, so one province minor. Lucca, one province minor. Ourselves, not helpful either. And last but not least, who hates Lucca? This is not exactly a promising start. Siena being allied to Venice does at least mean that if the Pope attacks them, that they're going to be at least somewhat defended. But I don't really want to befriend Siena if I'm trying to befriend the Pope. Doesn't really make a lot of sense. But what that does tell us, I'm going to turn the speed back on to... I'm going to have speed 3 by default. We might speed it up if we're in really quiet times. But what that does tell us is we don't have a really great network around us. So we're going to keep an eye out. We're just having a look around to see kind of what people's opinions are. As I said, Venice hates us. They are hostile towards us. Austria is neutral towards us. We like them, apparently. You can change what the relationship is. Florence, interestingly, has just guaranteed? Yeah, that's what I meant to say. They've just guaranteed our independence, which is... The odd thing about it, though, is they've just guaranteed our independence, but they hate us. They do not like us. So that's an interesting decision that they have made. I didn't go into the production and the government reforms interfaces last episode because we're not going to need to deal with them yet. I felt like I talked enough about interfaces for one, long enough about interfaces for one episode. We'll just deal with that when it comes. Really, at this stage, it's going to be a slow start. Oh, France is just going to declare war on England. That's, I believe, the most common result of that event that they have. We'll be reading some of the events, but really only some of the ones related to us. We are not going to read all of them, because otherwise I will be playing this game for the next 20 years on this channel. Which, don't get me wrong, I wouldn't mind, but you probably want to see the end before then. We have completed a mission, and it's because we built to our force limit. I'm not going to institute this because we only get a 25-year bonus. It makes it cheaper to maintain our army slightly, and we have slightly better morale. What we are going to do is do something called army drilling. So army drilling, it does have a chance of killing your general, but it also gives a chance of them improving, and it makes, it's honing our troops so that they'll be slightly more effective if war does happen. But it does kill their morale, so you want to make sure you get a few months ahead of time with them not doing this. Otherwise, you can end up with some real danger if someone declares war on you. So if somebody gets a claim on us, we're going to stop drilling. There's a cardinal across the border. We can either spend a little bit of money, get some corruption, and we can get a cardinal, which is pretty helpful. Lawrence would hate us if we do that. Or we can just get a spy master for half price. Normally I would always do this, but I'm actually going to do that right now because we can now realistically afford that spy master. I was talking last episode, it's roughly $1 per month, and it is going to increase over time. This one's half price though, and it costs half as much to hire. So that one I can afford to do, and that'll give us one extra diplomatic point. I'm still fine with the balance as it is though, at 655. Is it still just Lüneburg? Yes it is. I don't want Lüneburg as an alliance. Is there anybody that's close though that would be worth it? Nobody's really. Trent is a one province minor, but it's a little bit further away, so it's a better choice. Baden is at -11, but they're still quite far away. Magdeburg is far away. Salzburg is a dangerous ally because it's next door to Austria, the big stack in Central Europe. Bohemia is still at -13. I think Bohemia is going to be the choice if we can get them. If we can't, who would be the contingency plan? Palatinate a bit too far away, I would say. Hungary wouldn't be a terrible choice. Hungary's a dangerous choice though because they're ally. You know, they're potentially going to end up being eaten by Austria. And they can be attacked by the Ottomans, which would be terrible for us because they'll just come over and curb stomp us. The Ottomans start with 30,000 troops, and they have the habit of ballooning out of control very, very quickly. We are now losing money slightly, but I'm not worried about it. How close are we to allying these? Oh, wow. The Pope. Just not happening because they are allied to Mantua. Okay, so we're going to stop befriending them then because that is a waste of time. Oh, I actually took the one from Bohemia by accident. Go me. It's fine, there's no consequence for that. It always does these ticks monthly anyway. Turns out that the Papal States and Bohemia are too close looking for my eyes to tell the difference on the little icon on the top right, so oopsie daisy. Where do we want to send our merchant then? I guess for now, the Emilia-Romagna state has these 5 provinces. Obviously, our capital is in there. These are the top priorities for me. So, realistically, what we're going to do is we're probably going to try and get a claim on Ferrara, just so that, well, if we can have a war option, well, at least we have something we can claim for ourselves. Ferrara is actually a very good province to get because it has the Po estuary running through it, so it has more trade power, and it has salt. Oh, that's an interesting event. So, usually, Poland and Lithuania end up kind of combining together into something called the Commonwealth, and the first step towards that is that Poland becomes the senior partner in a union between the two. But they've actually gone with appointing a local noble instead, which means Lithuania hates them. They actually get a really good leader, 366, fantastic leader. But it means they did not combine together. We'll see what that implication will be. But yes, we're going to start trying to generate a claim against Ferrara, both, the country and the capital province. We definitely want that. Anybody other than Lüneburg want to ally us yet? Nope. We're going to actually turn the speed up to 4. Ferrara has just claimed our province, so what we're going to do, like I said before, is we are going to stop in terms of drilling. We don't want to drill any further. We are in the Holy Roman Empire, which means if Ferrara was to attack us, there's a distinct, very, very likely that Austria is going to protect us. This would not be the case, like I said, if we were anywhere else in the world, we would just probably get attacked and mullered immediately. But Austria, because they like us, will defend us. It would be nice, though, if we could get that official Bohemian ally going on, though, just so that I have that peace of mind. Sometimes Austria and Bohemia can really get at it together, which would be suboptimal for us. France is unsurprisingly kicking England's butt on the mainland. This is what happens every time. Really, the only variable is, does Burgundy then dogpile on England? Or do they dogpile on France, or do they do neither? We don't care that that guy is going to attack. If an AI leader has the baffling buffoon trait, you get a notification like that, because they'll tell somebody they're going to declare war before they do. Which is very, very interesting. I guess when we get a diplomat back, we will start embargoing our rivals, just to try and get our power projection up. I wish we started with a third diplomat, but we don't. So my priority is to try and get somebody on board with us that's not Lüneburg. Poor government policies. We're not going to lose a stability. Actually, speaking of which, we're going to increase ours. Increasing your stability, it costs a base of 100 admin points. It costs more the higher up you go. So there is good debate. Is +1 the best, or is +3 the best? Because that's the highest it can go. But you'll see now it costs 150 to do that improvement, which we can't afford to do and we're not going to. But +1 does have some great bonuses. So you get more trade power, you can detect spies better, you have less unrest, you get more tax money, missionaries work more efficiently, you get less corruption, and when the institutions do show up, they spread quicker. There's so many positives. Stability is arguably the most important stat you got. And for Ferrara to get a claim, we're going to need 20 spying power. We have 17 at the moment. Come on, anytime now. I actually should show you the Imperial Map while I'm at it. Hang on. Are we not? Are we not in the Holy Roman Empire? We have to. I know there'll be an event that shows up really early on where there's parts of the map that might try and run away. I could have sworn, and we have a way of testing this, because Austria is the Holy Roman Emperor. They always start as the Holy Roman Emperor. They don't always stay as the Holy Roman Emperor. But they always start. They're actually allied to Poland too, which is interesting. Yeah, we want to make sure we're involved with this. We don't want to be attacked. Actually, Ferrara, he couldn't attack us on an offensive war right now anyway, because we have more troops than them. We can't attack them offensively, though, because they're allied to Milan, and Milan have 11,000 troops, so that's not working. So yeah, we definitely want to get allied to Bohemia ASAP. We're not that far away from being able to do it. Because we're threatened by Venice, Bohemia is more inclined to protect us, because they don't like them. Withholding the tithe. So if we do this, it upsets the clergy. We lose a load of papal influence, which will show you the benefits of that when the time comes. But we do get more money ourselves, and we don't have to give as much to the Pope. But honestly, we're not going to do that. I'd much rather have the clergy on board. Clergy give you some pretty nasty tax penalties when they're below 30 influence. And they give you some unrest too. Not really worried about the unrest component, but it's still bad. So let's claim Ferrara. Yeah, what gave me the hint that we weren't in the HRE is that usually, if you're in the Holy Roman Emperor and you try if you're in the Empire and you try and claim another province within the Empire as being yours, you actually have to pay 50% more to do it, and we didn't have to. So that's what caught me there. I didn't exactly run this before I started uploading it, playing it, because it's more fun to do it blind. Does mean you could potentially play as a nation and get wrecked immediately and have a game last like an hour. But that's part of the fun, right? That is part of the fun. So we do want to embargo them for sure. We want to embargo Lucca. And we want to embargo... Who was our third person? Mantua? Yeah, Mantua. Okay. So that has increased our power projection to 9. Still not massive in terms of what the benefits are, but it's better than a kick in the face. Into September. We're still losing money gently, but I'm not that worried about it. They clearly are not going to attack us right now, so I am going to go back to drilling. I can actually show you. We have a free diplomat, so I guess we should use it on something. Yeah, so if we attack, for example, Milan, their ally, will jump in, and Austria, the Holy Roman Emperor, they will also jump in because they are part of the Empire. So we do want to be careful in terms of the Holy Roman Empire. We can join it, and we're probably going to do so. So what our next thing is going to be is we're going to try and improve our relationship with Austria so that we can join. Because then we will be a lot safer. Realistically, I should have done that first, but I'm not super worried right now. The only thing I do want to be conscious of is the fact that if Bohemia becomes a rival or an enemy of Austria, that will impact our relationship with them if we ally Bohemia, so we have to be careful. Bohemia is actually Hussite right now. It's not a Catholic nation at all. Which is pretty interesting. They get bonuses all of their own. So they can convert other Christian nations very, very quickly, and they take less damage from shock in battle, which is pretty good. Moldavia has... okay, it's a March of Poland. So Moldavia is this greenish colour down here. Those are the Czech, with Moldavia and Mazovia are both pretty quiet. This is the event. So this is the event I was talking about from the very start of the episode. The Kingdom of Italy and the Empire. For years now, imperial authority over the Kingdom of Italy has been on the wane. Successive emperors have failed to impose their will on the Italian states, as they have begun to act with total disregard for imperial laws and customs. Unless the wayward nations of northern Italy are finally reined in soon, or firmly I guess it says, Italy may slip out of imperial control forever. So, if Austria doesn't do anything, they are eventually just going to get kicked out of the Holy Roman Empire. That's practically what happens. But yeah, the Emperor can rein them in by beating them in war, making them a free city, which is a certain one province minus kind of option, or by securing an alliance or strong relations with them. 99% of the time, the Holy Roman Emperor doesn't do that. So it ends up being that northern Italy kind of just breaks away. A bit like, it did historically. But we want to try and take advantage of the fact that it exists, at least initially. So that's why we're going to try and befriend Austria, join the Holy Roman Empire. We will then have some extra protection against, say, Ferrara, and things should be a little bit more hunky-dory. I actually didn't realise, that we aren't part of the Holy Roman Empire, yet somehow Florence and Siena are. I know that Venice isn't, because they're too big, they wouldn't let them join. But it's interesting that we aren't. Huh. Don't know if that's always been the case, but it is interesting. Very, very interesting. This is a wasteland, so that will never be... that's just the Alps. That's the part of the Alps that are deemed uninhabitable. But it is interesting, the Pope at this stage, they have 4 main provinces, it goes up to 6, but there's technically Avignon over here, so they have 7, but the vast majority of times I've played this game, they don't keep that very long, so I don't even really consider it part of their stuff. It doesn't really come to mind for me. Okay, so we're getting into pretty close to 1450. And we're just going to gently potter along for now, because it's going to be very important when we get there. Unfortunately for us, changes to Bohemia's relationship means we're not realistically going to be able to ally them. So I'm going to stop befriending them now. I was hoping we might get them before that happened, but no. We do have a couple more options for alliances now, though. We have Navarra, which are absolutely not. Technically, we could get Siena. I'm just going to do it for now, just to try and disincentivize being attacked by Ferrara, but that's not going to be a long-term thing, not by any stretch of the imagination. And as useless as it is, I'm almost tempted to ally Lüneburg, just so it's something. So fine, I've mocked them for long enough, we're just going to do it. It's fine. And then what we're going to do is we can go over to this little tab for improved relations, and we can have a diplomat who is permanently just going to go to our allies and improve relationships, just so they stay on side. Right now, for some reason, he's not doing anything, but we'll give him a little bit and see what he does, because he should be doing something. There he goes. Now he's gone to Siena. This game has a lot going on, so there are occasional bugs and glitches. I was playing a casual game, actually, as the Mi'kmaq native tribe. My wife actually is one, as it happens. But you end up in this silly scenario. Oh, I guess we can do royal marriages. It must be this type of... hang on. It must be this type of republic. If we go in... Because most republics cannot do this. There's a couple that can. I know the Dutch Republic can. What type of republic are we? Oh, we're an Italian Signoria. Oh, so they can do royal marriage. I guess it's unique to this area. I haven't played as a northern Italian nation for a long time. So we can do royal marriages. That's awesome. I wonder how many comments I got on the setup episode saying, hey, you actually can get them. Yeah, that's actually really good. So we can do royal marriages. We get an idea group that, honestly, I don't think is all that good. We can re-elect from a ruling family. And actually, this is a pretty good type. Huh. Good to know. Good to know. That's actually pretty cool. So we can royal marriage. As a result, then, would anybody be willing to royal marriage that is close in terms of allying? Austria definitely will not. They have too many diplomatic relations, which is very common for them to have, which means they'll never ally me, but I just want them to like me enough to let me join the Holy Roman Empire. That's really all we care about. We are in an interesting scenario, though, where in Eastern Europe, Poland is allied to Bohemia and Austria, but Hungary is allied to Lithuania. So we could end up, actually, with Poland and Lithuania at war with each other, which is very rare. Mainly because they usually just focus on eating the Teutonic Order and then they become besties. So that'll be interesting. Anybody close to allying who... Trent, again, is an interesting thought, but I'm not really all for that. In terms of dynastic, who will royal marry us? Obviously Lumberg will. We'll just deal with that in time. Florence would, but I don't know if that would then be enough to make them allies. They don't hate us anymore. But yeah, they're allied to... Their arrival to Siena, who we're allied to, so they're never going to really like us. So that's just not an option. Provence would be dangerous as an ally, but they don't really like us either. Savoy would royal marry us. Would they ally us? Absolutely not, because they are allied to Lucca, and we hate those guys. Genoa is incredibly dangerous because they are also over here, so the Ottomans like to try and eat them for breakfast, and that, you know, they like to eat Cyprus, they like to eat Venice, they like to eat Byzantine, or Byzantium, I guess. Wallachia, Serbia, Albania, they're all very dangerous nations to ally, so you don't usually do it. But I haven't really seen anybody else that is really all that tasty as a thought to ally. I don't really want to ally just a load of one province miners on the other side of the Germanic land. But is there anybody in here? Saxony might be worth doing. They're not a one province miner, they're 4 provinces and they have a junior partner. So they are possibly tempting. Brandenburg quite often just wrecks them though. But we need to get some people allied to us just so we don't just die immediately. So afterwards, after we get into the Holy Roman Empire, maybe we'll have a look at Saxony. Anyway, we'll let the clock go for now. Keep going. There's not much for us to do for the next probably game year or two. Some nations, especially the bigger nations, have a really explosive start. As a one province miner, unless you're surrounded by other one province miners, you tend to have a much more sedate start. And ours is no exception. Realistically... Oh, that's weird. The King of Aragon's laid a claim to Castile. It's usually the way around. realistically, all we're really looking at is if Venice starts falling apart, we want to jump on them. So we're going to try and get a claim on Ravenna eventually. But really the most important thing for us is to watch what Ferrara does. Because if Ferrara gets rocky or Rocher, then we want to take advantage of that, right? And Milan does tend to get into a lot of fights. So them being at war is something we're going to watch as well. Do we want to get some money temporarily and then get less later and papal influence increases? Or I'm just going to... It makes the nobility unhappy with us, which is the exact opposite that I want, really, because the only faction that don't have a loyalty default as 50 or higher. But I want +1 stability. Stability is massive. I get to show what the penalty is too. So right now they're at 28%. I'm just going to get to 30 soon. But we have more unrest, less manpower, and our troops cost more to maintain, which is pretty bad. But yeah, they'll end up going to 30 pretty soon. Meanwhile, from the Holy Roman Emperor's stake, we're 22 away. We have to get to 106. I'm not sure how it calculates that number, to be honest with you. Not really sure at all. But we're getting there. I'm just going to take the 10 prestige hit. That's not a big deal. That is absolutely fine by me. Wish we had a way of speeding this up a little bit, but if I go to speed 5, it might just break the recording. It's not like I have a really wimpy computer, but I also at the same time do not have, you know, $10,000 super desktop or something, so I don't want to run it too hard. They have removed their guarantee over us, which is pretty rude of them. Not really worried by Florence, though. Yeah, they have more troops than me, but I'm really not that worried. Look at us doing our drilling. Stabbing that giant stick into the floor. Good for us. Risks of trade. We can trade money for mercantilism, which we're going to do. I'm going to actually stop drilling temporarily because I want to, at this point, start saving some Dosh Wonga. We're not going to save a ton of it, but just so that, you know, if a war is around the horizon, you tend to hemorrhage some cash while you're doing it, so I'd like to have a little bit of a buffer, because loans are pretty bad for a one-province miner. You have a hard time being able to afford paying them back, because the interest just cripples you. And you can go bankrupt in this game, and the consequences are dire. We're getting the choice again of whether we want to... Actually, this time I'm going to do it. It'll increase corruption, so we won't make as much money temporarily. But I am going to do it. Why? Because I can show you now. If I go into the papacy, reform desire is really low. So that's good. We're not going to have any other religions getting involved right now. We get 2.5 papal influence every year. You get a base of half a point. We have a cardinal, so that goes up to 1. We have a papal emissary right now, so it's 2. And then because the Pope likes us a bit, it gets a 25% positive modifier. If they hate us, it can go to -100 and you just gain nothing. You can pay money and or papal influence to try and bribe the Pope effectively. If you use papal influence, you can even become the Pope. You know, once the current Pope dies, because the Papal States, yes, gets a massive bonus to trying to be the next Pope, but they are not always the Pope. So you can end up in really terrifying scenarios where nations like, you know, France can be the Pope. So, it does happen. Not often, but it does happen. We got our royal marriage with Lüneburg for all it matters, with their whole 1,000 troops. This is more just so if somebody declares on us, it's really inconvenient for them to come up here. It's not going to be a long-term ally. Must be getting pretty close now, though, to being in the Holy Roman Empire. Yep, we need to be 106, so it's going to be 1 more monthly tick. Come on, 1 more tick. Okay, pause. We want to join. We are now in the Holy Roman Empire. And Muscovy is now apparently a great power. I might as well show that before we wrap up. The top 8 powers in the game get some bonuses. Needless to say, we are not one of them with our total development rating of 12. You have to have at least 276 to be on the board right now, and this number's going to go up pretty quickly. Ming start with 1100 development. It's wild. Playing as Ming is hilarious because it can go one of very two ways. They have way more power than anybody else in the game at the start, so they can crush everything around them, but they are incredibly unstable, so it's very, very easy for that nation to fall apart. Anyway, I will talk to you more next time. I appreciate you watching the video. Give it a like if you want to. Like I said in the last episode, always enjoy listening to stories of people playing this game, the good and the bad. Always good with feedback too. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Take care now.
Thank you for watching the video.